Welcome
Standard
to
open.
Jasmine's First Impression Sports Talk. Tonight we have a good show for you in store, and I have my guests Jeremiah and my dad. So let's get started.
Welcome to Jasmine Pollock's First Impression Sports Talk, the fastest growing sports talk show in the country. And now, here's your host, Jasmine Pollock.
The first topic of the night, I have my dad and Jeremiah. We're going to talk about our NFL teams. It's been a crazy weekend in sports, and of course, Sunday football is always extraordinary. So let's just talk about it. So, Jeremiah, dad, either one, it can go to either one of you. What is your take on your teams right now?
Jeremiah, you want to go first?
Oh yes, I can
Yeah,
get the bad teams
proceed.
out the way first, and then I'll go to the good teams.
They're not bad.
Okay,
They're
for my
winning.
Dolphins right now, they're coming off of course, going five straight right now. They have a chance to do six straight against the Jets and maybe continue on against the Saints and of course Tennessee and everything else. But well, I got news today of different players being out. We're down to our third string running back. Gaskins just went out right now. Our safety Hollins, who has been having a terrific year, has been out, and who knows just from the rest of this week how they came in contact, and more people can be out. So going down the road and everything else, it does make me a little bit, nervous because I know when it comes to our defense, it's really at a high level. And, we need everybody in order for us to hit that next level. And, with everything being so close right now, everybody is mostly 7-6 when it comes to the Browns. And a lot of people that's in the AFC right now, we have a chance to kind of squeeze in there and get that wild card spot. And we can't, really deserve really to lose a lot of these players. And it's just all about playing hard and also to it actually showing up when it comes to these games, because believe it or not, his passing rating has been one of the highest this whole season. And not to mention, he just been sticking it in there. I know we had a little tough patch, but I think that we can get it going and actually be a contender if we get to everybody healthy.
Well, I think for me, you guys, as you guys know, I'm a Green Bay Packers fan. My team is one of the Super Bowl contenders. The biggest concern is our special teams. I was so disgusted yesterday with our special teams. It was so bad. Like, it almost made me cry in the first half because I'm just like, what was going on? Like, I was like, I think, the Bears, that was their first punt return of the season in the whole NFL season that we
Yeah, I think it was the
allowed at
first
home.
punt return.
I
Yeah.
was
Period.
really annoyed with that. And then just it was a 34-yard return. There was a 40-yard return. Of course, the 97-yard return. It was bad. And I feel like even us receiving the ball, like I felt like we just did not. I don't know if we practice special teams in practice. I was really not happy about that. But overall, for my team defensively, that was one of the questions heading into the season that I had. Can this defense step up and be the defense that it needs to be? Because we do have athletes on the field. And right now, I'm starting to see this defense is taking the ball away, getting off the field on third down, and we've always had an issue with that throughout the course of the year.
But
And I saw a
Jasmine,
little rust far as we came out of the bye week. We let the Bears go get, I believe, 21 or 24 points in that first half, and then in the second half we only held them to 3. So I was really happy about that.
the
So
slow
it's all
starts.
about execution. I really special teams needs work immediately because that it was crazy how I think the stat was they had over 200 yards of 200 yards of special teams. I've never even heard of that. So I was really disappointed with that. But overall, I think offensively we're right where we need to be, and then defensively I'm really really impressed. But special teams needs work. Dad, what about the Bucks?
All right, so yeah, let's get on the real subject at hand, the Bucks. Well,
Not the real subject
the
at
thing,
hand.
no, the thing about the Buccaneers is, even though I'm very happy because a win is a win. However you get that win, my concerns today are the same concerns I had at the beginning of the season. I have no issue with our offense, even though we kind of went to sleep in the second half. But our offense can score on anybody. That's why we're the number one scoring offense in the league right now. My concerns are still with my defense because if you look at that game, we should have closed that game out. And I don't know whether it was a defensive scheme. I mean, we did stand up when we needed to, but as we get deeper in the playoffs, there could be another matchup with us in Green Bay deeper in the playoffs. And Green Bay right now is looking really good. I mean,
love
even
to see
before,
that.
Except our special
yeah,
teams.
I love to
yeah,
see that.
well, even before Aaron had the COVID situation, they were rolling, and that team I think's on a mission. And I think that as we get somebody, we're going to get AB back, which is going to be huge. I know there was talks about him possibly being cut or whatever, but they're not, because his production when he's there, just basically is really high production. So once we get him back, get those pieces back, and a few other people on defense, I think we're going to be just fine. But we have to figure out what our identity is on defense, because we did rush the passer okay yesterday, but we got to get back to the front four, getting to the quarterback, because that'll help disguise some of the deficiencies we have on the back end in the secondary. But overall, I'm happy because we did get the win with all those opportunities we have with our defense, and even some execution issues on offense. We still, managing to keep a winning record, and actually, really posture ourselves to win the division, and go into the playoffs with some momentum. So we had to win that the Buffalo game. We had to win that. Buffalo has a pretty decent defense. They're not a bad team. And I was impressed that we went in there and did what we did to them. So going forward, we just got to continue to mesh on defense. It's taking a little bit longer than last year. Last year, remember, out of the bye week last year, we rolled all the way through into the Super Bowl. This year, we're kind of staggering a little bit. We're staggering. But I think that as we start to get closer and closer, once we make it through here, we'll be fine.
I had a question. Do you think that the Bucks, Mr. Pollock, do you think the Bucks will actually go far without AB? Could they actually go it?
They can. I think that the Bucks can go far without AB, because they have a lot of serviceable weapons out there. Because the key thing is AB is a wonderful piece, but I think it's more so about what Gronk does in the middle than what AB does on the outside. Because when you have Gronk in the middle, he is a security blanket. You have serviceable weapons we got plenty of weapons. AB is, of course, a plus, but if you had to ask me, I would say the tight end is probably the most valuable position right now on our team, because what Gronk can do in the middle is ridiculous, because it's a matchup nightmare.
But AB's footwork, though, you can't get that with a receiver.
I'm gonna say this, Dad. When it comes to that, right? Like, of course, Gronk is very important. Him and Brady go way back. They have a very very good chemistry together. But when I look at the teams like the Rams, when I look at the Packers, AB, even when the Bucks lost to the Rams, I thought AB they needed AB in that game, because AB is that receiver that can take the top off of anything. Like, I mean, like, he gets behind, it's just how his footwork is, how he gets behind the defenses. And I felt like they really needed him in that game against that Rams team. Of course, Gronk is Gronk. I mean, of course, Godwin and Evans. But Evans is that receiver where, those 50-50 balls, he's going to go up there and give those high-pointing, catches and stuff like that. Godwin's like your short underneath guy to me, but
Godwin is the one that when you need to convert a tough
AB is
down.
unguardable, like I feel like. And I feel like
Godwin,
and his route running
is exceptional. Just going into the playoffs, because, Dad, like we said, even though for me, I'm still have some questions about the Chiefs. They're starting to crank very slowly. They are, but
the Chiefs going to be there
questions,
at the end.
but
they're going to be there.
And then, of course, in New England, of course. But I think for them, if the Bucks get AB back, like, I feel like even though the offense is what it is, but
they will.
AB adds a certain dynamic to the team. Like,
no
the
doubt,
footwork, you can put him anywhere with anybody, and he just goes to work. Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. But that's to his preparation. But the thing about AB, he's definitely a plus. He upgrades your offense. But the question was, I think we can win it without him? Yes, with the weapons we have, the way Tom Brady distributes the ball, we have matchup nightmares all over the field. And I think that when AB comes, yes, we're going to really need him. Yeah, but I think that my biggest thing would be is, can we get those extra or those additional defensive stops? Yeah. To me, that's the biggest.
Yeah, that's the main thing.
I don't know.
Because
honestly,
AB's
that
not there. Because think about it, AB's not there, and we're still the number one scoring offense.
yeah, but
So
I just for me defensively with the Bucks, like I don't know what's happening. Like it seems like they're not. Maybe it's the the Super Bowl slump a little bit, or we won it already. That happens, of course, but it's like I don't see Pierre Paul and Barrett getting off like they used to, or Sue. Like they seem kind of like I was
Yeah,
watching, Sue
yeah,
and all of them how they were on the sideline, just like whatever, you know what I mean. It didn't seem like that stout defense, which of course
yeah.
it can catch fire at any time, but it's like there's always that. Are they into it? Like like and it's to me, when you look at Buffalo, Buffalo was on a decline anyway. Like I had them winning the AFC. I thought they were going to be that number one team. They do
they're
not
very
look how
disappointing
they're
this
supposed
year.
to look right now. So I was really shocked. But on to another AFC team. Lamar Jackson is injured. The Packers play them. So do you guys think this Ravens team? What's going to happen with this Ravens team right now?
Well, basically, my thing is because Lamar made when he got drafted, he made some big promises, and for the production he's put on the field, he's following through because he's still he's still learning, he's still training, he's still becoming a better quarterback, and he's still getting acclimated. But I think the team around him, for whatever reason, I don't know if they're evolving the same way because it seems like there's a steady decline right now with them, and I think it has a lot to do with if you got the type of team. Of course, they had some injuries at running back, which is a big deal. But when you have the type of team that they need to have one of the best defenses in the league. They're going to have to play defense because with the way they play, they rely on, and I think Lamar is having a really good year statistically passing the ball, but they rely heavily on his legs. Now, what happens is what just happened. He's been dinged up a few times this year, and that's not going to get any better because it's not going to get any easier for him. And I think that defensively, I don't know whether in the draft, whether they need to figure out defensively what their identity is because they're a defense away, and also they need another threat on offense. I mean, they lost a running back, but they need another threat. They need another couple threats. But if you add those pieces around him, I think they'll be a very tough team to deal with. But right now, it's like they're broken and it's getting worse. So I don't know how they're going to rectify that and get it corrected.
And for me, like when looking at the AFC right now, of course, I think the Patriots will be the number one seed. I do genuinely believe that.
Absolutely.
Most
But
definitely.
Lamar, I said this before, like Lamar is one of my favorite players in the league, and his talent is just out of this world. Like it's a God given talent that a lot of people don't have. And I feel like with him, like we talked about this before too, Dad. Like they have to have a number one defense or a top defense that can stop up the other team from scoring. When you
Yep.
look at the team, when you look at the Ravens, like they have Hollywood Brown, they have Mark Andrews, but where's that other top receiver that I think he needs weapons around him? Of course, a stout running game where you can hand it off, and they rely heavily on Lamar Jackson too much, and I feel like right now that's what's causing them issues. Okay, Lamar, you just do it all, and it's like give the man some
Yeah.
help.
Thing with the Ravens is they keep on having to come back inside the games. In my opinion, I just want them to actually play a full game, just all the way through from start to finish without having to always come back and be the underdog each and every time. I want them to show their dominance. If you're up there actually in the AFC, you have to prove it.
Let me take over this since I'm a Packers fan. I do like the Ravens. I do like them, but I'm not gonna like them when we play them, obviously. But I don't think the team has a chance of beating the Packers without Lamar. I don't think that's happening. Lamar is he's a cheat code. He's literally a cheat code. Like this guy, he can make plays that are like, how did that happen? He's one of those dynamic players. But Brett Hundley, he's not bad. He's a good tenure player, but it's like, yeah, I don't think they're gonna beat the Packers without Lamar. Like, there's no chance of them beating the Packers without Lamar. No.
Well, one thing I'll say about that is what I always tell you any given Sunday. Don't ever say a team don't have a chance. That's number one. Now,
Without Lamar,
is
so without Lamar, they have a chance to
it's
beat the
not.
Packers.
Listen, it's possible. It's just not. Hey, but it probably won't happen. But there's always a possibility.
That's
So
true.
you want to say that? I
Anything
want to
can
say
happen.
that first. Secondly, with the Ravens, I think the Ravens are having a kind of an identity problem right now. I don't really think the Ravens. It seems like they don't know exactly what they want to do. And with Lamar getting in and out of the lineup, getting nicked up, I just feel that there's something missing from the team. And I would say defensively as well, to where, and of course, offensively, it has to be missing. Those running backs missing is a big deal. I don't know who's back yet, but I think you guys lost. I think they lost a couple people for the season. That's a big deal because that's a huge part. I mean, you got to think catching the ball out of the backfield. You got to think another person taking a pounding besides Lamar having to try to run and take the brunt of the snaps. And I'm going to tell you something right now. I don't believe in the league, even with athletic quarterbacks like Allen did last night. I don't think your quarterback should have the most rushing yards. To me, if your quarterback has the most rushing yards, I think that speaks to other deficiencies in your team or your offense, because you're putting the person who is the face of your franchise on the line every time he takes off running.
Totally
So
agree.
I think they have to figure out what they're going to do defensively, because they need those extra possessions and they need that running game to slow down. Because another thing, if they're 3-and-out and they're having these tough games, the defense is on the field a lot, which means that these guys are getting wore out. They got to figure out how can we start extending drives through the running game, through the short passing games, through screens, and see if we can get the ball out of those guys' hands quick. And I know they want Lamar to do all this electric stuff, but teams catch up to that. They always do. And it's like, when are we going to turn Lamar into that true dual threat, to where it's like, hey, we got this covered, but he takes off and runs for that nagging first down when it's 3rd and 12, he gets the first down. Or if you come up and you play the run, now because of his running ability, the threat is real. They bring those linebackers up and the safeties up. Now he's hitting it on the back end. But that has to be a true dual threat to really make this thing pop.
When it comes to the Ravens, this is actually showing right here. Who are you without Lamar being in the picture when he's not there? How are you as a team? How is your adversity going to be? And not just, always being underdogs, because you guys have a representation that you guys have to be a part of.
And that goes to show that they heavily depend on him. I feel like it's a team sport, even though your quarterback is the most important position. But you should be able to, I feel like if God forbid, if Brady gets an injury, knock on wood, if Brady gets sick or something, God forbid, they have people that can fill in. Like Trash I believe, can go out there and fill in for him. Or they still have a team that can still go out there and compete.
I don't believe that. So here's the thing. In the league, I hate to say it, but there's backups out there that are serviceable, that can come in and manage your team, but they're few and far between, in my opinion. Because when you drop a guy like Brady or Rodgers, you talking about not only them, it's not just about them knowing the offense, it's the timing. So these guys, when they're not taking all the snaps, they have to come in and get the timing down. And the
thing is,
they coaches
can run the ball the whole time.
Yeah, but you can't run it. I mean, you see what happens. You try to run the ball, they're going to stop the run.
The Patriots did that.
But you can't.
Oh yeah, one pass.
They didn't tell the pass.
You can't. But listen, you can't compare the Patriots to the other team. Bill Belichick is a situational coach. He's probably the best strategist that we've ever seen at coach. So you can't compare what the Patriots do to the other teams, because this man plays like he plays the percentages. He knows the right call, the right time. It's like he knows the freaking rules in the playbooks of other teams, which that could be another story. But when it comes to the Patriots, that's because they are efficient. Their scheme is very clear. They know what they're doing, and they focus on everybody doing their job. On the other side, other teams have not been able to match that kind of production as the Patriots. So I put the Patriots in a different category because of Belichick.
I
But we're
totally
gonna
agree.
go to a quick break. We're gonna go to our sponsors, the Smoke Shack and Falling from the Sky. So we'll be right back.
Slow roasted over hickory fire and pulled by hand. This is the way pit pork has always been done. Pulled pork lovers, rejoice. The smoky old days are back at the Smoke Shack. From the creative team that brought you the Browning Project and Dead by Morning comes a new thriller that will change the way you look at white-collar crime forever. Falling from the Sky.
Welcome back to Jasmine's First Impression Sports Talk. Now let's head into the Dallas Cowboys. What do we think, Jeremiah, about the Dallas Cowboys?
I think when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys, they have some potential, but at the same time, they turn right back into the Dallas Cowboys. You've seen it when it came to last night's game, well, yesterday's game against Washington. You know, they was up big, defense was doing big, and it was such a big number. But at the end of the day, they only won by 7. They only survived by 7 points when they're supposed to be blowing Washington out because of how they played that first half, and those things happened. Now, I can say after Dak hit this certain injury he did when it came to a couple weeks ago, he has not been the same with his accuracy, especially when it comes to his connection with his receivers. A lot of his passes have been out the way. They will at least be like over the top or at least too much in front. And sometimes I don't know what he be looking at a lot of the times. And for the Dallas Cowboys, they have this stigma of, you know, they get riled up, they get big, and especially when they go like on a huge like a huge lead. You'll configure it like a basketball game, like a team going like on a 28-5 run, but then at the same time in the second half would just blow the whole thing, and it'd be like wasted time. And then they barely survive. So what can you say about this team? To me, they're just a regular Dallas Cowboy. I don't really see them really getting out the first or second round, in my opinion. I think that they have great potential on their team, but when it comes to those big moments, I just think they turn right back, like I said, into the Dallas Cowboys.
Now, for me, with the Dallas Cowboys, I feel like I agree with you saying I don't think Dak is playing how he was playing before. I think after his injury, he has not been the same. And then a big hit to them is Tony Pollard. I think he has a torn plantar fascia, torn ligament in his foot, something like that. I think that's what they were talking about. But I feel like that's a big blow to them because he adds a certain dynamic to their running game. And I think he's more of the quick, home run hitter than Zeke is. Zeke is like your power back, the one that can get you third and shorts, fourth and shorts, different things like that. But I feel like offensively, they don't look the same how they did in the beginning of the season. Defensively, they are legit defensively, especially with Michael Parsons leading them. That kid is ridiculous. Like I was not like when they drafted him, I knew he was good for Penn State, but I didn't know like a lot of people. I didn't know he was going to be like this. Like they're talking about defensive player of the year and defensive rookie of the year or a rookie of the year in general. But it's really crazy how we think now like Dallas has become a defensive team. And we forget who their defensive coordinator is, Dan Quinn. He was once Seattle Seahawks defensive coordinator when we had our great years, a couple years back in 2014 and 2013. But I feel like for Dallas, offensively, I don't know what they can do with that. They can catch fire, but losing Tony Pollard is a big deal. I think that's a very big deal because he adds, like I said, a certain dynamic to their team. Zeke is even banged up as well, but they don't want to allude to that. But I think right now they're not in a good spot right now for offensively. And I'll agree, like I'll say this, what I was watching Undisputed today, Skip Bayless even said like this team is going to go as far as the defense goes. And that's kind of what it's looking like right now is how far Michael Parsons and that defense can get after the quarterback. But they have to play better because they can't hold up against a Tampa, against the Packers, against the Cardinals, even the Rams. So, I mean, they're not going to be playing Taylor Heineke's all the time. They're going to be playing a Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers and even a Matthew Stafford and a Kyler Murray. So we'll definitely see what this Dallas team is about. But, Dad, what is your take on Dallas as far as, heading into the playoffs and can they be a championship team?
Okay, the Dallas Cowboys go as Dak Prescott goes. It's just that simple for me. Yesterday, Dak Prescott almost gave that game away. Their defense is playing lights out. Um, the whole thing is now with because I'm not really hard on players in general like that, but with the amount of money they just gave Dak Prescott, it's time. We're even prior to his injury, he's kind of doing the same types of things that he's done before. A lot of people are saying, well, it seems like he's playing scared, or no, it's not that. This is how he was playing before. I mean, before this season, earlier this season, he was lighting it up. And I don't know what changed, but they're going to go as far as Dak. If Dak protects the ball and utilizes the weapons that he has while protecting the ball, I think that Dallas is going to go very deep because defense is what wins championships. Defense will carry you into if you don't have home field advantage, if you're in a weather situation where the weather's not favorable, your defense will carry you through that. And I do think Dallas is going to correct some of those issues because hey, he didn't have a good game yesterday, but guess what? They still got the W. And it's not how you get the W, it's the fact that you get it. So we still can't overlook that. They still won the game. So that gave them another week to correct some of their problems. So we can't ignore that. So I do expect them to bounce back, and I do expect them to still be a contender.
Well, now I want to ask you a quick question before we head out. You saying that, do you think? Okay, you saying how far Dak and how the team will go as far as Dak goes, but with the Tony Pollard potentially being out for the rest of the season and a banged up Zeke, can they go on the road and beat a Tampa, a Green Bay, or even the Rams or the Cardinals?
I at this point, and like I said, it's back to Dak Prescott. With that defense, your defense can travel. I don't have an issue with their defense. But if Dak's going to be turning the ball over like that, they will not beat anybody. And yes, they beat the Redskins, which they were supposed to beat the Redskins according to, whatever, stats or whatever. But I just don't believe that they can win with them turning over the ball, especially at the quarterback position. And also, I completely didn't talk about this person. They have to start back getting a heavy production out of Zeke as well, because that also helps Dak as well. Because when you get that running game going, we hadn't seen that Zeke in quite a while now, and I don't know whether it's him or the offensive scheme, but he has had flashes this year. But I think they're going to have him going too, because a lot of what their offense is designed to do is through Zeke. And I think what they fell in love at the beginning of the season with all this throwing the ball all over the field. Now it's like, well, hey, we need to scale that back and get back to what got us here, and what our identity should be, and that's running the ball, play action pass, and those types of things, and getting Dak somewhat out of the pocket here and there, because he's deadly when he gets out of the pocket. And I mean, like, if you look at his history, he's done so much better when he's moving. Now he seems more confined to the pocket. So nothing wrong with that, but if that's not his whole game, then they need to start putting him in positions where he's able to make those plays.
Yeah, I totally agree with that as well. You know, they have so many potential, like I said before, but like you just said, it always depends on Dak Prescott. This team goes as far as he can go when it comes to the style, and also just getting to their next destination, which is a championship, which hasn't been
Yeah,
long.
and then to add to what you're saying, they have a receiving core that's one of the top receiving cores in the league. I mean, they just do. With
Oh
Cooper
yeah,
and CeeDee Lamb, and not to mention their tight ends and their third option, they have the weapons. It's just when are we going to see that super explosion? They started off high flying offense, scoring a lot of points, and they actually yesterday got up pretty good on the Redskins. And not to kind of taking the thing away from the Redskins are a few players away from being a very good team as well.
that's what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
the Redskins are another, like, that was one of my wild card teams that I chose before this season even started, because they just have that underdog towards them, where they have those athletes. It's just they just need to put the pieces together. That's all that team just needs. You know, because they have an identity. They make teams. They put teams on notice, especially going to different places. Like even the Bucks a while ago, like they always give them a hard time. Like Washington's not even always a pushover team.
Well, that quarterback, he can run.
Oh man,
that gave us, because if you look at it, yesterday we had an issue with Allen running the ball. So you know, we got beat up pretty good with him running the ball. Same thing happened yesterday. So I think it's going to be interesting down the stretch. But right now, I'm excited about this season, and I'm very happy that there's a lot of parity. There's no clear cut, oh, this team's the best. That there's nothing clear about it. And I'm excited about that, because that's making you intrigued week to week to see who's going to pull ahead, who's going to emerge, who's going to get that home field advantage.
Right.
I'm waiting to see that, because, you know, even though the Bucks, we're leading our division right now, even though we're doing that, guess what? We have the Saints coming. And yeah, the Saints they're you know, they have injuries, but they always play us well. So we got that coming as well. So we got to look out for that.
Well, that wraps up tonight's show. Thank you, Dad, and thank you, Jeremiah, for giving your intellect about a crazy weekend in sports. And we're going to look deeper into more playoff pictures, playoff standings. It's getting close to that time, so we're really excited. I'm really excited to see what's about to happen. But that wraps up tonight's show. Thank you, Leon. Thank you, Jay, for the production. Thank you to the audience, and thank you, Dad. Thank you, Jeremiah, for giving your great intellect on sports. And we look forward to see you guys here next week on Jasmine's First Impression Sports Talk. Have a good night.